Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what's out there? The universe is vast, mysterious, and full of possibilities. For centuries, people have gazed upward, searching for answers to questions we can barely imagine. Sometimes, though, the answer doesn't wait for us to find it. Sometimes it comes looking for us, in ways we never expect.
Things you only talk about at the back of the cave.
Imagine a quiet, humid summer night in rural Kentucky. The air is thick, the world is still, and the only sounds are the gentle hum of insects and the distant call of an owl. You're on your porch, crickets chirping, when a strange light streaks across the sky and vanishes behind the trees. It's so sudden, you wonder if you imagined it, until something even stranger happens. Moments later, small creatures with glowing eyes emerge from the darkness. They move in ways that defy explanation, their eyes shining eerily in the night. This isn't science fiction. It's the true story of the Hopkinsville Goblins, a tale that has fascinated and mystified people for generations. On August 21, 1955, two families in a small farmhouse claimed they were terrorized for hours by goblin-like beings. The night would become one of the most infamous in UFO lore. Their story is so detailed and consistent, it's become one of the most compelling close encounters in American history. Newspapers, investigators, and curious onlookers all wanted to know more. The case has everything: mysterious lights, otherworldly creatures, a tense standoff, and endless questions that have never been fully answered. We're heading back to 1955 to uncover what really happened on that Kentucky farm, and why it still captures imaginations today. The Hopkinsville Goblins case drew the attention of the Air Force, ufologists, and skeptics alike. It became a national sensation almost overnight. Why? Because of the number of witnesses and the duration of the event. Rarely do so many people experience something so strange for so long. This wasn't a fleeting glimpse. It was a prolonged, terrifying siege that lasted for hours, leaving everyone shaken. The families involved were ordinary, hard-working people, not seeking fame or fortune. They simply wanted answers and perhaps a return to normalcy. Their fear was real, and that's what makes this story endure. The terror they felt that night is still palpable in their accounts. Were these creatures visitors from another planet, or something else entirely? Theories abound, but the truth remains elusive. Some say owls, others suggest mass hysteria, but the witnesses never wavered in their accounts. Their conviction only deepened as the years passed. As we dig into the details, we'll explore all the possibilities, from the rationale to the extraordinary. We'll examine the evidence, hear the testimony, and try to piece together the puzzle of that unforgettable night. The truth is out there, waiting to be discovered by those willing to look beyond the ordinary. Tonight, we're getting closer to finding it. The story of the Hopkinsville Goblins is just beginning. To truly understand this story, we need to travel back in time and visit the place where it all began. A small, isolated farm nestled near the towns of Kelly and Hopkinsville, Kentucky. This was not just any farm, but a remote homestead, set far from the bustle of city life, where the land itself seemed to stretch on forever. In 1955, this was deep, rural America. Rolling hills, dense woods, and endless fields of tobacco and corn defined the landscape. The air was thick with the scent of earth and crops, and the only sounds were the wind in the trees and the distant calls of farm animals. The Sutton family's four-room farmhouse was basic and humble, with no running water or telephone. Life here was simple, and every day was shaped by hard work and self-reliance. They were truly on their own, surrounded on all sides by dark, dense woods that seemed to press in at night, making the farmhouse feel even more isolated. The farmhouse, simple and unpainted, became the unlikely stage for a bizarre and unforgettable event that would soon draw national attention. The nearest neighbors were far away, separated by wide fields and thick stands of trees. Help was not just a shout away, it was miles down the road. When the strange events began, the Suttons couldn't call for help. They were trapped, cut off from the outside world by distance and darkness, with no way to reach anyone. That isolation made the situation even more terrifying. as every sound outside became a potential threat, and every shadow seemed to move. 11 people were present that night, the Suttons, the Taylors, and their children. The house was crowded, but fear brought them even closer together. The presence of so many witnesses, including kids and adults, makes the case hard to dismiss. Each person would later recall the events in vivid detail. The dense woods provided perfect cover for the mysterious visitors, hiding them from view and adding to the sense of dread that filled the night. The darkness wasn't just an absence of light, it was an active participant, concealing the creatures and amplifying fear, making every moment feel more dangerous. In this quiet, remote setting, a peaceful summer night suddenly turned into a chaotic battle for survival as the family faced the unknown. The stage was set for one of the most famous and mysterious close encounters in history, a night that would change the lives of everyone involved forever. The evening began like any other, with two families relaxing after dinner. Around 7 p.m., Billy Ray Taylor went outside for water and saw a glowing saucer drop behind the woods. He told the others, but they dismissed it. An hour later, the dog barked furiously. Lucky Sutton and Billy Ray grabbed their guns and went to investigate. In the darkness, they saw a small creature, large head, glowing eyes, metallic skin, approaching the house. Fear took over. The men fired, but the creature seemed unharmed, making a metallic clinking sound and fleeing. Soon, more creatures appeared, peeking in windows, climbing the roof, clawing at the house. The family was surrounded, panic rising as the men fired at the beings who always escaped unharmed. Women and children huddled in the center of the house, terrified. At one point, a creature reached from the roof, trying to grab one of the men. The beings moved with an unnatural, swaying motion, as if wading through water. Despite repeated gunfire, the creatures never seemed injured, always vanishing into the night. The siege lasted for hours, with the family trapped and desperate. The first sighting set the tone for the night, pure, primal fear. The family, huddled together in the dim glow of lanterns, could sense that something was terribly wrong. Every creak of the old farmhouse seemed amplified, every shadow outside a potential threat. The creature's slow, swaying approach was unlike anything the men had seen. It moved with a strange, almost hypnotic rhythm, as if it belonged to another world entirely. Its glowing eyes and long arms made it seem more alien than animal. The men struggled to make sense of what they were witnessing, their minds racing for any logical explanation. The men fired from just 20 feet away, but the creature only flipped and scurried off, unharmed. The gunshots echoed through the night, but the intruder seemed invulnerable, untouched by their desperate defense. Their weapons were useless, and the pattern was set. A goblin would appear, shots would ring out, and it would vanish. The family realized they were trapped in a terrifying game of cat and mouse. This cycle repeated for hours, creating intense psychological pressure. The tension in the house was suffocating, as every minute felt like an eternity. The family reported not just what they saw, but what they heard. The metallic sound of bullets and a high-pitched chittering from the creatures. The noises seemed to come from all directions, adding to their confusion and dread. The beings never breached the house, but their persistence was relentless. Shadows flickered across the windows, and the sense of being watched never faded. The family's terror was heightened by the sensory overload, glowing eyes, strange sounds, and unnatural movements. Every sense was on high alert, and sleep was impossible. The encounter became a bizarre dance of appearance and disappearance, confrontation and retreat. It was as if the creatures were toying with them, testing the limits of their fear. The experience was seared into their memories, a night when the unknown came knocking. The family would never forget the feeling of utter helplessness. The family's resilience kept them safe, but the fear lingered long after. Even as dawn broke, the sense of unease remained, haunting them for years to come. This was no ordinary animal encounter. It was something truly inexplicable. The evidence left behind only deepened the mystery, with tracks that defied explanation. The Hopkinsville Goblins left a mark that would never fade, forever changing the lives of those who witnessed that unforgettable night. The creatures' descriptions are among the most fascinating parts of the legend. Witnesses agreed. The beings were 3 to 4 feet tall with slender bodies and disproportionately large round heads. No visible necks, just massive heads on thin shoulders, giving them a top-heavy swaying look. Their most striking feature, enormous, glowing yellow-green eyes, set far apart. They had small mouths, no visible noses, and large pointed ears that swiveled to catch sounds. Long, spindly arms ended in taloned hands, reaching down to their knees or lower. Their feet were almost like suction cups, helping them climb the farmhouse roof. The skin was silvery and metallic, explaining the ricocheting sound of bullets. Despite the "little green men" label, the family always described them as silvery gray, making the story even more unique. The so-called Battle of Kelly Hopkinsville was a true test of nerves. For hours, Lucky Sutton and Billy Ray Taylor fired hundreds of rounds at the creatures, but never saw any sign of injury. The beings seemed to coordinate, distracting at one window while another climbed the roof. Their tactics were unsettlingly intelligent, using shadows and cover to their advantage. The family felt toyed with, observed, and completely helpless. The psychological toll was immense. Children cried, adults struggled to stay calm. After hours of terror, a lull gave them a chance to escape. They piled into 2 cars and sped to the Hopkinsville police station, breathless and panicked. Their story of a 4-hour gun battle with little men from a spaceship was so convincing, police knew it wasn't a prank. The family's terror was genuine, and the authorities took them seriously. The siege was over, but the mystery was just beginning. At the police station, the family's panic was undeniable. Police Chief Greenwell said, "These were not people who would make up a story like this." Law enforcement rushed to the farmhouse, finding bullet holes, shattered windows, and spent shells everywhere. No evidence of the creatures, no bodies, blood, or footprints. But some officers saw strange lights and luminous patches in the woods. The next day, the story hit the news. Little green men invade Kentucky farm. The family faced ridicule, reporters, and crowds trampling their property. They were accused of hoaxing or drunkenly shooting at owls, but never profited from the incident. Eventually, the harassment forced them to sell the farm and move away. Their lives were upended by a night they could never forget. The ridicule only deepened the mystery. The Suttons weren't alone. Others in the area reported strange lights and sounds that night. Even a state trooper saw unusual lights in the sky. Some skeptics, like Joe Nickel, suggested the family mistook great horned owls for aliens. Owls have big yellow eyes and can be aggressive, but the witnesses were familiar with local wildlife. The owl theory doesn't explain the number of creatures, their behavior, or their apparent invulnerability. Other theories abound: extraterrestrials, unknown terrestrial species, or even interdimensional entities. The truth remains elusive, fueling endless speculation. The Hopkinsville case remains one of the most debated encounters in UFO history. Strip away the folklore, and the core facts remain compelling. 11 witnesses, including children, told consistent stories to police. The house was riddled with bullet holes and spent shells, proof of a real violent event. The family gained nothing but ridicule and harassment, not fame or fortune. Police and community members described them as honest, sober, and genuinely terrified. The Air Force dismissed the case as a hoax or misidentification, but never interviewed the main witnesses. Private investigators who spoke to the family believed their sincerity. The official explanation and the witnesses' accounts remain at odds. The debate between fact and fiction is still wide open. Why does the Hopkinsville Goblins story endure? It taps into our fascination with the unknown and our fear of what lurks in the dark. The tale has all the elements of a great thriller: isolation, mysterious invaders, and an unresolved ending. The details defy easy explanation: metallic skin, strange movements, and immunity to bullets. Today, the legend lives on in local culture, celebrated at the Kelly Little Green Men Days Festival. The fear has faded, replaced by wonder and community pride. Whether you believe in aliens, owls, or something else, the story remains a powerful mystery. As long as we look to the stars and wonder, stories like this will be told.